Is it panic time for the Texas Tech defense? We'll discuss that in today's video and much more, including the odds for Texas Tech at Washington State. How much are the Cougars favored by, or are they favored at all? We'll discuss that and much more. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. And listen, a sincere thank you to each and every one of you that tuned in to the live watch party we had here on the channel. Over 20,000 tuned in here on YouTube or Twitter. So a sincere thank you. And if you want more of those type of watch parties for each and every Texas Tech football game this year, all you got to do is two things for me. Like the video and hit that subscribe button. But that's not all we'll be doing here on the channel. We'll be giving you game previews, film breakdown, 3 keys to the game. Lyle Leong Jr. will be on here and much, much more. And the best part about it, it's 100% free. So be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button to stay in the know on all things Texas Tech football. All right, I get it. I get it. Hand up. I get it. I'm right there with you guys. I understand the sense of potential panic when it comes to this Texas Tech defense after that putrid, abysmal, whatever you want to call it, performance against the Abilene Christian Wildcats on Saturday night at Jones AT&T Stadium. I get it. I truly get it, okay? But I will say this. I do think there is a couple of positives, and we'll discuss it, but let's lay the groundwork in terms of just how bad this Texas Tech performance was against ACU, and I feel like I'm piling on here, but we need to lay the groundwork, okay? The Red Raiders gave up 615 total yards of offense to the Abilene Christian Wildcats, okay? No doubt worrisome, obviously. Little to no positives, as I mentioned. That said, I do think we need to take a step back, and I've done this too after 24 hours of reflection. The performance was bad, but moving forward, I don't think it's going to get worse. And here's why. The main reason being this. We can knock him for his lack of adjustments during the actual game itself, but Tim DeRuyter is a good defensive coordinator. And you look at what he did last year for Texas Tech in the sense of allowing opponents to score less than 28 points per game, down 3 points total from his first year out in the 806. I think he's going to make major adjustments, and most notably, I think those adjustments are going to come on the defensive line. And I know what some of y'all are already yelling at your screen right now, whether you're watching me on your TV, your phone, iPad, whatever it may be. RC, what the hell? What about the secondary? We'll get there in a second. I think the defensive line is the unit that I want to see the most adjustments from. Reason A being this. They really did not touch Maverick McIver. I said in the recap video that somehow Maverick McIver may be the first quarterback in the history of football to have his jersey cleaner after an entire game was played than when he came out of the locker room. It felt like Texas Tech did not breathe on him the entire night. Now, why is that? Texas Tech didn't run a damn stunt, it felt like, in this football game against ACU. I think that changes. You had the discussion all off season, and I get it. I'm done with the hype train too. Give me the damn results on the field. That's what we want here, right? We want the damn results. I'm tired of all the hype. That being said, I do think there are talented guys on this defensive line for Texas Tech. Maybe I'm naive here, but I do think that there are talented guys. Now, albeit inexperienced in the roles they are being asked to hold early on in the season. But you think about the Harvey Dysons of the world, the Amir Washingtons, the Isaac Smiths. They aren't the most experienced pass rushers, but you do, from a class level perspective, have experience on the interior of the defensive line. And I think that that's where you need to see more stunts. You need to see more availability in terms of just opening gaps for those pass rushers to get to the quarterback. And I think it starts up front by running more stunts, running more movement with those interior defensive linemen, whether it is the Quincy Ledet Juniors of the world, the Duda Bankses, whether it's Jaden Cofield, who had a solid game and actually had the ending sack to secure a, well, nail biter is probably a loose term, or the lowest term I could give you guys in terms of that win for Texas Tech. But you also look at it from this perspective. Texas Tech was starting 6 guys on the starting defense where they were making their first collegiate start. They were without their #1 cornerback in Braylon Lux. Would that have fixed the issue if Braylon Lux was playing in this game? Hell no. I mean, Abilene Christian still probably scores 50, if not 40, right? Like, I mean, that wasn't the issue. The main issue I had for this Texas Tech defense was this. You could tell for long stretches of time defensively that the communication was not there. And now Jacob Rodriguez discussed it in his post-game press conference alongside Baron Morton and Josh Kelly that, hey, like, the defense struggled with communication for most of the night. And if you don't have good communication playing up against a team that spent all off season targeting you were their Super Bowl, and rightfully so, biggest game on the schedule for Abilene Christian. First time that these two schools have played 170 miles apart in 75 years. That was their Super Bowl, and rightfully so. They came out and balled out. Tip of the cap to ACU, right? But from a Texas Tech perspective, these two things have to change, period, end of story, along with the secondary. You have to get out to the quarterback. You have to run more stunts. And also, first and foremost, the communication has to be better. And I, for one, think it will be. I think this is going to be one of those situations where it's not going to happen overnight, where you're going to go from allowing teams to score 50 points from the FCS level to playing an FBS school and them scoring, 17. I don't think that that's going to happen, but I do think Texas Tech will be better defensively. They will create more turnovers, but more importantly than anything else, they will have better communication, because if you do not have communication on the defensive side, and clear communication at that, you're donezo. These offenses are too good, especially Washington State, who we will discuss here in just a second. All right. One more time, appreciate all of y'all tuning into the channel. If you're new here, we're giving you 100% free daily Texas Tech videos, all football and men's basketball season long, having watch parties. And if you haven't followed me on Twitter, do so at RCMB323. And speaking of Twitter, let's get into the odds here. I posted over on Twitter 2 separate sports books, FanDuel, and then you had Circa out in Vegas. And the question that we want to know about the odds, what does Vegas know? Because if you were anything like me, after watching Texas Tech and their performance at home against Abilene Christian and what Washington State did to, albeit Portland State at home, beating them by 40, it was 70-30 up there in Pullman. You thought to yourself, oh, okay, Washington State's going to be at least favored by 5, maybe 6, right? Not the case. Not the case. Here we go. Looking at the screen right there, Texas Tech, according to FanDuel, opened as favorites in this one, but the line quickly moved after the results on Saturday night, both in Pullman and in Lubbock, Texas, to Washington State being favored by 2.5 points, according to FanDuel, as you can see the opening line there. That being said, though, there is one book that has Texas Tech as favorites, and that is Circa. Texas Tech is actually 1-point favorites on the road at Washington State, according to Circa. You can see it right there below the Boise State and Oregon matchup, where the Ducks are favored by 20, and then between Liberty and New Mexico State, there on the far right column, about midway down. But again, Texas Tech favored at Washington State. But if we're being honest about it, that's basically a pick'em. But even having it as a pick'em is surprising. It goes back to the question of, what does Vegas know? And I get it from the overreaction standpoint of what Texas Tech did against ACU. It was putrid, right? Specifically on the defensive side, I thought the offense actually looked pretty damn good outside of really maybe a handful of plays. The offense was the only reason you were in the game, people. And criticizing them for having 5 bad plays when the defense didn't even have 5 good plays, we got to shift the priorities here in the sense of, we're not going back to the Cliff Kingsbury days where you have to outscore your opponents in the sense of like 70-67. We're not going back to that. The defense has to step up. The offense did their part, though, against Abilene Christian. And I think Vegas's way of thinking here is just that. Like, the offense balled out for Texas Tech. They don't see the defense for the Red Raiders being this bad moving forward. This was an anomaly, and they think Tim DeRuyter will get them back to where they should be, albeit it's a pick'em. right? Basically on the road there. But it's very interesting to see those two lines. Even if you look at the +2.5 for the Red Raiders or the -1 for Texas Tech, typically home teams get -3. So that's very interesting. It's basically a pick 'em according to both FanDuel and Circa. So again, no time to press the panic alarm here. Let's calm down. We can get mad about that game in terms of the performance from the defensive side of the football, but Texas Tech will get better, people. And if they don't, come in the comments and let me know. Let me know, for real, because I do think that they will get better. It's time to take a deep breath. It's over. We're on to Washington State. And the best part about a bad win is it's just that, a win. Way better than a bad loss, if you ask me. All right, one more time, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell to stay in the know on all things Texas Tech football all year long. Again, we are the largest Texas Tech YouTube channel. Over 10,000 subscribers, the most interactive. We do live watch parties, game previews. We have a former Red Raider here on the podcast each and every week. So if you want to join the most interactive and largest group of Texas Tech fans here on YouTube, simply do these 3 things for me. Like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell.